Some places allow one mistake, then never offer a return. Deep beneath ancient Crete, cold corridors swallowed every sound. One sandal was missing and red thread lay beside him. His fading torch made the surrounding darkness feel even deeper. Then two crimson eyes slowly opened beyond the distant archway. Heavy hooves struck stone, growing louder with every breath. The traveler rose and ran through identical twisting corridors. This was no ordinary maze built for careless visitors. It was the labyrinth beneath the great palace of Knossos. Daedalus created it under the command of King Minos. Inside, every passage seemed to move behind the trapped traveler. At its center lived the Minotaur, half man, half bull. Its strength was terrible, and its hunger never truly ended. For years, young Athenians entered the maze as unwilling sacrifices. Their families watched helplessly, because nobody had ever returned. Then Prince Theseus stepped forward and challenged the ancient terror. He promised to enter willingly and destroy the Minotaur forever. His father begged him to stay, but Theseus refused. Wearing a red cloak, he sailed across the Aegean Sea. At Crete, he faced the labyrinth's enormous black entrance. That night, Princess Ariadne secretly came to meet him. She placed a coil of red thread in his hands. "Bind it at the entrance," she whispered, "and never release it. Darkness may deceive you, but this thread remembers home." Theseus tied the thread tightly around a massive stone column. Inside a maze, one good knot can preserve a life. He tested it twice before crossing the first shadowed doorway. The thread unwound behind him, forming a narrow path of hope, but the labyrinth was designed to destroy both plans and courage. Sharp stones could catch the thread and cut it suddenly. So Theseus moved slowly, keeping it near the wall. He wrapped it around obstacles, preserving direction and steady tension. At each junction, he scratched arrows into the stone. Inside the labyrinth, even tiny tools could save him. When corridors looked identical, Theseus trusted more than sight. He felt the air and carefully watched his torch flame. A leaning flame revealed drafts moving through hidden openings. He tossed pebbles forward, testing pits and empty chambers. Sometimes he pressed his ear against the freezing walls. Echoes carried dripping water, falling stones, and distant breathing. Then a mighty roar shook dust. The Minotaur had caught the scent of a stranger. Theseus lowered his torch and hid behind a broken corner. Fighting inside that narrow corridor would mean certain death. The creature heard clearly, smelled fear, and shattered solid stone. To survive, Theseus would make the maze fight for him. He moved silently between pillars, ruins, and shadowed openings. Broken statues and black stains became landmarks in memory. When his torch weakened, he replaced the burning cloth. He drank carefully, saving water and strength for later. Panic made lost people run until their light vanished. Theseus slowed his breathing and kept his thoughts steady. An unusual draft led toward a chamber with many openings. Fresh air strengthened the flame and cleared his breathing. One sealed passage weakened both the fire and his chest. Theseus avoided it and followed the cleaner current downward. There he discovered an underground stream beneath low stone. Water might lead outside or deeper into a grave. He studied its direction before crossing an ancient wooden ladder. Every cracked stone was tested carefully with his spear. A hidden floor collapsed into darkness directly before him. Because he tested first, Theseus remained safely above the pit. Across the stream, heavy hoofprints covered the dusty ground. Animal smells and scratched walls revealed the Minotaur's territory. Theseus dimmed his torch and drew his bronze sword. In its reflection, two red eyes watched from behind. He refused to attack because surprise remained his greatest weapon. Instead, he threw a stone into the opposite passage. The sharp echo immediately drew the Minotaur away. Theseus slipped behind it and hurried through another corridor, but the monster turned and smashed through the separating wall. Stone exploded outward as its roar shook everything nearby. Theseus used pillars as shields and ran in zigzags. Whenever it accelerated, He changed direction at the final moment. One horn passed close enough to tear his cloak. The creature slipped and crashed violently into a stone column. Theseus recognized the weakness inside its enormous strength. Anger made the Minotaur powerful, but also dangerously predictable. On the dusty floor, Theseus mapped the nearby passages. He selected a narrow route beside a cracked supporting pillar. Then he entered the firelight, displaying his torn red cloak. The Minotaur bellowed and charged directly toward the prince. Theseus ran through a doorway and around the damaged column. He stayed visible, yet always beyond the creature's reach. At the last second, Theseus rolled across the floor, the Minotaur's horns buried deeply inside the weakened pillar. Theseus wrapped an old iron chain around the support. He pulled hard, then cut through the rusted fastener. A massive collapse separated him from the furious monster. Yet the Minotaur broke through and the chase continued. Theseus crossed a deep gap using a hanging chain. He tested every link and carefully balanced his weight. Below, the Minotaur found another path through the darkness. He squeezed through a tunnel covered with ancient spiderwebs. Strong wind touched his cloak, promising open space ahead, but the opening led directly into the labyrinth's center. An ancient hall rose there, surrounded by towering pillars. Behind him, the Minotaur shattered rubble and entered. The final battle began beneath carvings of forgotten monsters. Theseus kept a pillar between himself and the horns. The creature circled wildly, searching for a clear attack. Suddenly it changed direction, and Theseus lost his footing. His sword flew away as claws struck the floor. He rolled beneath the attack and recovered his weapon. Then Theseus climbed higher and waited for one final charge. The Minotaur lowered its head and thundered toward him. Theseus leaped aside, and both horns pierced cracked stone. The trapped creature struggled, but the pillar held firm. Theseus climbed its back and tightened rope around its neck. Every violent movement pulled the rope tighter around it. Theseus struck beneath its shoulder with his remaining strength. One final roar crossed the maze, then disappeared forever. But victory meant nothing unless Theseus escaped the labyrinth. He found Ariadne's thread and patiently followed it backward. Moonlight finally appeared beyond the last broken doorway. The surviving Athenians followed the red line into freedom. Ariadne waited outside, holding the thread's glowing end. Theseus defeated the monster, but the thread defeated the maze. From that night, Ariadne's thread became an eternal symbol.